Hello and welcome back to Under Review. Today we're going to be talking about the Oregon-UConn game that took place this past Monday. I'm Mahn.
And I'm Mengel. Let's get into it.
All right, if you watched the Oregon-UConn game, you saw what a roller coaster it was, 72-59 loss. Grant, what are our initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts was it's a very frustrating game. It's very tough when you lose one of your best players available in Christyn Williams hours before the game. I'm sure they were prepped and ready to have her out there and be a key contributor, as she always is. So you lose that on top of already all the injuries and everything. That was going to be hard to overcome. But they went out to a 10-0 lead early on, and it kind of looked like the switch was starting to flip, and this team was learning how to battle the adversity, and maybe this was going to be the corner that sparked their season, and then it all came crumbling down. It was really disappointing.
I know that they say we don't like to make excuses. Even Caroline said if we have 5 people on the court, it's enough players. But this was a game that was kind of made for Christyn. She scored 13 points in that Creighton game, 19 in Xavier, 19 in Butler. If Christyn was there and scored anything similar to those past 3 games, it would have been at least tied. I just think that Oregon team, Christyn's aggressive, consistent shooter, and she's getting better, that she really was necessary in a game like that.
I agree, especially going on the road into hostile territory. You want to have your seniors out there for a game like that.
And then Gino kind of talked about how we just can't make our outside shots. We saw Nika in there. She scored 1 3, but Nika's not always a large shooter. And then she shot 4 3-pointers, made the one. Saw Avina have 8 points, 3 for 10 for field goals. And then Aaliyah only having 4, Dorka only having 5. It's kind of like some people are falling in the background. Dorka was a heavier scorer before, so I don't really know what's happening there.
Yeah, 3 for 18 from 3-point range as a team. Caroline Ducharme 1 for 8 by herself. I love that she's being aggressive, and she kind of needs to. And she did score 22, but that came on 21 shots, which that's a lot. That's just not very efficient at all. So looking for her to be, yes, she needs to be aggressive and score, but it's got to be in a more efficient way. Otherwise, she's just chucking it up there, which we've seen her do a lot of great things these past few weeks. So it's a bad game. It happens. And it wasn't even that bad of a game. I mean, she scored 22. But you're right. We saw Dorka start to turn it on around that UCLA game, and she really started to become a focal point of this team. And all of a sudden, she's a ghost again. 5 points, 4 rebounds, no assists or blocks. It's just – I'm wondering where she's gone, and which Dorka are we going to see come tournament time? Are we going to get the aggressive, confident one who can go out and be a double-double machine, or are we going to get this one?
Shot 17.6% from 3, shot 42% overall. First half, we were 0% from free. We shot 8 and missed them all. I would have to say, I think Caroline did a pretty good job. She had those 22 points. I know she was shooting a lot, but at least she was shooting at the end of the day. It's the highest score of the game. And then Ono, she is just proving to be the most consistent, deliverable big out there. She had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks, 2 steals, and 1 turnover. Like, that's an all-around player.
With Paige out of the lineup, she's absolutely become the rock of this team. As a senior, she's setting herself up to get drafted in a very good spot in the upcoming WNBA draft. She's really a bright spot on the team this year, and she's finally taking that step. It's all coming together for her. I love to see it.
I think 2 of the main weaknesses of that game was the fact we turned it over a lot. They had 21 points off of our turnovers. That could have changed the game in itself, and everyone was completely gassed at the end. We had 6 people play in that game. They, I think, had 12. If you took out, if they played as many people as we did, the game would have been tied. So that says something. Obviously, we can't make excuses like that. But at the end of the day, we only played 6 people. No one got below 20 minutes. Caroline and Nika played the entire game. At a certain point, as much endurance as you have, it's going to be hard to play against a team that has a full bench.
Yeah, your body's going to break down. It's only natural. You're not meant to be out there running around that much. We see injuries happen. We see with our own team, you just see people break down. It happens. But that's kind of why we started to play zone defense out there, I think, is just to try and, when you're playing man, you're really aggressive and you're running around everywhere. When you're in a zone, you can get a break here and there, which I understand the decision, but the zone really hurt us on defense. They kept getting the ball into Sedona right in the middle, and she had wide open jump shot after wide open jump shot. I do understand the strategy of just trying to get your players a little bit of rest, though. It's tough when you've got 6 people.
So we have kind of this trouble with the guards right now, but Dorka and Aaliyah are also falling behind. So who do you think needs to step up the most right now?
I've seen Dorka have great games where Aaliyah's gotten back towards herself at points, but not fully into the dominant player we've seen her before. So I think it's got to be Dorka. I know it's there. We've seen it a handful of times this season already. When she's aggressive, shooting it from behind the arc, getting 10 to 15 rebounds, I need to see Dorka get back to that player, find that confidence, and get the swagger back.
Definitely agree. As well as, but even Gino said with those outside shots, Caroline's providing a lot of points for the guards, but Avina, I just like to see more points out of, and I know she can do it. And then if we have Christyn back, any of those could have been big scores in the game. And it wasn't that large of a deficit, 72 to 59. It was 62 to 41 ending the third. So we pushed through at the end, although we were completely gassed. So I think if we had one of those other players step up, it could have been a lot smaller of a margin.
After being up 10-0, it felt like Oregon completely dominated the game for the next 30 minutes, really. It was an impressive showing by them. And to note, they were 9-5, but they had just gotten back 3 of their best players from injury too. So they're kind of starting to round into form, whereas we don't have all of our players back yet. So that's something to note. I think we're a better team than Oregon. And if we see them again down the road, very confident we can beat that team. But you're right. With Avina, this was a very difficult game for her. Going back to your home state, you really want to have a big game in front of your family and friends and all that stuff. And maybe sometimes the pressure gets to you a little bit. Maybe you're a bit overwhelmed and stuff like that. So I know that she's going to get back to it. I'm very confident in her abilities.
We've seen it all before. Avina Westbrook is just a deliverable player. So I'm really not worried. It's just kind of one of those phases. Moving on, talking about some of the players we have out, ESPN definitely showed a lot of Paige on that game. Sometimes I thought I was seeing Paige more than the actual game itself. We even got a look at her shooting during the shoot around. Always excited on the bench. Paige is just a special type of player, and we definitely need Paige back soon, to say the least.
She really is the heart and soul of this team, the best player in the country. It's so tough to fill that hole. We need her back.
To see her shooting 3-pointers without jumping gives me a little reassurance. Like, okay, even though she's out, she's still got it. And then AZ. Gino's been making ambiguous comments about AZ coming back. They said there's been exciting news and AZ will resume basketball activities soon. I don't know really what that means at all. I'm hopefully before South Carolina, because not knowing how long Christyn's going to have to be out, whatever protocols were, we need someone to be there for South Carolina, or it's going to look similar to this Oregon game.
Yeah, I hate that term, resuming basketball activities. Is that shooting? Is that running full court with the team in contact drills? It really doesn't tell me much. I have no idea what to expect. And the vagueness of it's what scares me a little bit, because they were pretty vague with Aubrey's injury for a while too. And now we see the ending result of that.
We see Paige shooting around at shooting, but I don't really see AZ doing much out there. So I don't know what status she's at. And I don't know what the injury is. Didn't know what Nika's was. So luckily Nika's back. Happy for that. Even though she has fallen down in almost every game so far, that has given me quite a scare, but I'm hoping maybe AZ at least before February. That's my guess.
Classic Nika, just throwing her body on the line for the team. That's what she does. It's what she's out there to do. But yes, I really hope we can get AZ Flood back out there just to get her some more experience before March. We're going to need her come tournament time.
This season has tested us a lot, as we know. And honestly, sometimes it's not just excuses. We have adjusted since Paige has been out. And I'm really proud of how a lot of people have grown. And we're still recovering from even the AZ and Aubrey loss, and losing Christyn right before the game. And you know that she was prepared to be in there and probably be a large role. As I usually say, don't press the panic button yet. This is why UConn wins 11 national championships. It's not always easy. Yes, there's that 111 win streak, but I just feel like we have adapted in situations, and that's why we're a winning team. And I feel like we will be able to adapt again. Currently, we have 4 losses. South Carolina won in 2017 with 4 losses. We won ourselves in 2013 with 4 losses. So I personally think it's still feasible, but what are your thoughts?
I think it's absolutely feasible. Just wait until Paige gets back out there. Once we're at full strength, especially with some of these newer pieces that have, like Caroline, we've seen how she's played since Paige has been gone. If she can keep that level of play up with Paige back, that's going to be really tough to guard. If Olivia can be this rock down low, then you have all 3 of them clicking. That's going to be almost impossible to guard. So, and then you have Christyn and Avina, shooters. You got Nika coming in for hustle and grit and rebounds and assists. So I really like this team when it's at full strength. We're still a top 2 or 3 team in the nation right now. The record doesn't reflect that, but this is one of the toughest years UConn has had in a while, just due to injuries, COVID, everything. This team is still absolutely in the hunt for championship.
I feel like we just have to ignore the rankings, because championships aren't won in January or February, they're won in April. So I know that we're going to go through rough patches, maybe falling out of 10 again, because for some reason, every time we lose, it's a dramatic drop. But I just don't really think that's what matters right now. I think developing everyone, we've seen sparks in everyone. And if all of them perform at that level at the same time, I think it would be unstoppable. Everyone loves to freak out though, but I will quote RJ Cole's mom. She said, "Who needs haters when you have fans like this? You gotta stick with your own team here. We can make it out of this, and we can't always freak out every time there's a loss."
Yeah, that's right. The only thing the rankings matter for right now is just to get in positioning for seeding. But I don't think Coach Auriemma cares what seed they are, because it would give them a slightly tougher road than if they're a 1 seed. Yeah, but you're going to have to beat good teams eventually, so it really doesn't matter.
Honestly, we had a pretty small bench there that I don't personally know the COVID protocols, but he probably would have been allowed to cancel that game, not having Christyn, but he did push through. It wouldn't have been rescheduled. So I think the fact that he's willing to take the challenge and the loss is what'll develop us better. And I think going into South Carolina, if we won this Oregon game, yes, we would have had a little bit more confidence, but knowing that we have to revamp before that big challenge, I think is really important. Do you think there's any initial thoughts on this South Carolina game before it happens?
I'm a little worried, but it's going to, once again, another hostile environment on the road, short bench without your star player. That's not a recipe for success, but these 2 teams have played tight games over the past few years. I think they can still go in and be very competitive in this game. I don't see why they can't. If Avina, Christyn, Olivia, if everyone's on their A game, we can still beat this team.
I think this would be Caroline Ducharme's first time playing South Carolina. She didn't even get in that first time in Battle for Atlantis. So this is definitely going to be a very different lineup approaching it, but I think it'll be okay. I think we'll be able to step up. We have 2 games before it, Seton Hall and St. John's. So I think it can potentially be fine. South Carolina did lose to Missouri, who's unranked, so anything can happen, but I guess we'll have to see. Until then, Seton Hall on Friday at 7 p.m. at Gamble, and then St. John's on Sunday. That's away, I think 1 p.m. at St. John's. But until then, I'm Mahn.
And I'm Mengel. Thanks for watching.